Thank you very much, and welcome to Abuja this cool Monday morning in the Federal Capital Territory. My name is Ejiofor. Let me welcome you to the conference. Now, today's conference is going to be a little thin because a number of my gang members are held up in the traffic. I do not know what's causing the snarling of traffic this Monday morning. Those of them coming from the Maraba, Nyanya, Kefi axis say they may not even get here before the time, but this time, so we do not know when they will come in. But the issue that warranted this conference this morning is not just grave, it is critical. Nigeria's worsening insecurity. Now, we can't get tired of raising this matter because day after day, week after week, there are developments that seem to confound. There are developments that cause you to ask very critical questions. Now, when we from the media begin to ask those questions, we are accused of stoking panic or maybe stoking distrust in the system. So some of the things we say this morning, they will come from what those in authority have said about the situation. They were going to raise the important questions. But I just want to remind us, as I welcome you, that once on this program, what I may call from the beginning, we raised certain fears. Certain fears when in Borno State, the communities began to worry that they were seeing helicopters dropping food items, dropping arms and ammunition, dropping personnel they couldn't account for. The Nigerian system dismissed it. Today we are seeing that kind of development now turning into a full-scale war. And we'll be raising the question, how are these terrorists, these insurgents that are assumed the name of bandits that we're now negotiating with, how are they getting all the arms? Now, before I got into the studio, I just finished watching a clip in which a Nigerian politician was telling us why they recruited late Muhammad Buhari into politics. That the northern political establishment, and he was specific, the Fulani political establishment was worried by what the Southwest were doing, protecting themselves by forming OPC. OPC was a response to the situation. But according to Galadima, he said that that formation frightened them to the level that they also chose to form a counter. And that was why they brought Buhari into politics. And after they launched his entry in Daura with an incredibly massive crowd, that they sent across the message. In other words, there was an agenda. In other words, there was an agenda. Is it the same agenda that we're dealing with? Or has somebody created a monster which he cannot pull back again? I do not know. But this morning, from the beginning, we are going to play back to you an 8-minute clip of fears we raised about Nigeria's mystery helicopters. After we raised it a second time, Boko Haram hoisted its flags in Niger State. Today, Kwara State is becoming the epicenter of banditry and kidnapping. Banditry. Let's watch that tape.
At the onset of Nigeria's insurgency problem in Borno State, communities reported sighting helicopters dropping the Islamist fighters, arms and other logistics supporting the insurgents. At that time, some commentators wrongly accused the Nigerian military of conducting those helicopter flights. In other words, some elements of the Nigerian military were accused of religious sympathy and working with insurgents to undermine the Nigerian state. The military, of course, denied the accusation, but on the whole, the security agencies seem not to have taken the story of the mystery helicopter as a credible information. With hindsight, the sophisticated hardware which Boko Haram brought into its fight against the Nigerian state shows that ignoring the helicopter story was a big error. That initial accusation of a compromised military surfaced again when, out of his frustrations on the setback in the war against Boko Haram, Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum repeated the refrain of a military whose elements were working against the national interest.
There's serious sabotage in the system. I said it before. When I was attacking Baga, I said there was a sabotage in the system. But people don't understand. Some are saying that I'm trying to condemn the Nigerian military. No, there's sabotage in the system. There's sabotage within the politicians. There's sabotage within the Nigerian military. There's sabotage within the civil servants. For us to, there's corruption in the system also. For us to succeed, we must address this, all these layers.
In 2020, a major attack again took place across 3 local government areas of Niger State. The attack lasted over 5 hours, and the attackers razed communities, killed those who resisted, and took away over 1,000 cattle. While the attack lasted, a helicopter was sighted by the escaping residents flying over the area of the attack. It only flew away after the attack was completed. Was it a mystery helicopter giving cover and information to the attackers? Some informed Nigerians argued that the helicopter must have been that of a security agency, providing vital information to ground forces to react appropriately.
The helicopter hovering, reliably, we have been informed that as soon as there is a sign of the bandits, the Air Force in Kaduna and sometimes in Abuja will enforce. Oh, what is happening is the bandits will now notice the helicopter and they will now run into the cave. As soon as the helicopter hovered and leaves, they will now surface and attack, and the villagers will now say, oh, the helicopter brought them.
Again, as in the case of Borno State, Boko Haram, which released the video of his arrival and encampment in Niger State, and bandits who have taken over forests and remote locations in the state, now operate with sophisticated lethal weapons. How have they accessed those weapons? Was it the helicopter that provided the weapons? As if to resolve the mystery of these helicopters, the federal government 3 weeks ago announced a no-fly order over Zamfara State. Zamfara State has become the epicenter of banditry, to the extent that the supreme commander of the bandits was ushered into Government House Gusau to negotiate a truce because they had such sophisticated arms and ammunition that Nigeria security agents turned tail in any encounter to stop their kidnapping and sacking of communities.
His Excellency the President has approved, based on our recommendation, the imposition and enforcement of a ban on all mining activities in Zamfara State with immediate effect until further notice. He has directed the Honorable Minister of Defense and the National Security Advisor to deploy massive military and intelligence assets to restore normalcy to that part of the country. He has also approved that Zamfara State be declared a no-fly zone with immediate effect.
Before the presidency admitted that helicopters were dropping logistics for these criminal bandits in Zamfara State, before the presidency accepted that the helicopters were involved in ferrying out illegally mined gold from Zamfara State, was there no mechanism for determining the mission, destination, and operators of helicopters in Nigeria. Who or which institution is responsible for keeping Nigerian airspace secure?
The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority should know all this. It is within their purview and their responsibility to actually grant permits within the airspace of Nigeria for civil aviation. Along with them is the Nigerian Air Force that actually should also have an umbrella defense across the country in order to monitor all this. So I am saying that it should be in conjunction. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has the oversight and the responsibility for the entire airspace of the country, while the Nigerian Air Force has some sort of complementary role. And in fact, when it comes to defense and security, it's within their purview to also check that.
For incurable optimists, this must be comforting to hear that the federal government has put together a high-caliber committee to reinvent the Nigerian Defense Headquarters. Doing this is an admission that something is not right. But as suggested by the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, there must be layers of responsibility with a body that can centrally control and manage Nigeria's security issues.
And government should create a system that will monitor the ability of agencies to collaborate. It's key. If immigration sees something at the border and if it calls an agency, let government know that that agency has been called and has been able to respond. In the US, it is called tasking and coordination. So you have somebody who can task and coordinate this. If immigration is asked, there is somebody, an aircraft landed this evening, and it is carrying a suspected terrorist by information available, and immigration slips, didn't check the terrorists enter this country, somebody should pay the price.
Helicopters and private jets are supposed to get clearance from the Department of State Service. The Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority is supposed to clear commercial flights. These agencies provide the identity, operation, destination, and mission of aircraft within their jurisdiction. But to whom do they report? And in the case of failure, as in the mystery helicopters, who should pay the price?
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Now, when we raised that issue of military helicopters over 3 years ago, the authorities swept it under the carpet. They explained it as maybe the ignorance of Nigerian communities. But as you heard in that report, the Buhari administration subsequently imposed a no-fly zone in Zamfara State. And then the government then said that those helicopters, in other words, admitting it now, those helicopters were flying in and flying out illegal miners, and the presidency at that time placed a ban on all mining activities in Zamfara State. That one brought a fresh conversation. The attention of the media was diverted to saying maybe legal miners are those sponsoring the violence, the banditry, the insurgency in some parts of northern Nigeria. But listen to the language of the bandits themselves. Because of ethics of this job, we cannot play back the bandits on air. That will be wrong. That will be against decent journalism. But listen to the bandits themselves. They will tell you, we don't make arms. We don't buy and sell arms. Somebody is arming us. And one of them swore that it was the government, even though they don't understand who the government is anyway, so I'm told, that was arming them. We'll take a very short break now, because we are going to interrogate this matter from point of knowledge, not from point of media effusions, media talk. We are going to bring in somebody who knows to begin to piece these things together. What is Nigeria dealing with? We have had to ask this question more than 3 times. What is Nigeria is dealing with? We'll take a short break and be back shortly.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Thus, before we took the break, I asked the question, what exactly are we dealing with? We in the media have written, we have published. That is from the media perspective. But please, can we listen to those in authority? Those from the parliament, those who had once ruled this country, even current governors. Can we kindly take a clip from them, so that it is not us in the media speaking, it is also those in power who are speaking.
Right now, happening in Zaria. Today is 26. Yeah. A commercial trailer passing through Zaria around Ahmadu Bello University, loaded with bullets, on his way to supply to the bandits. For one reason or the other, there is along Zaria Sokoto highway. Today, now,
the bullet was dropping.
The bullets were dropping and on the road. The driver did not know. And was still going, and the bullets were dropping. I hope he has been apprehended.
When we came, we prioritized security. As I'm talking to you now, the Kebbi State government purchased almost 100 Toyota Hiluxes, and we distribute them to our various security agencies, including vigilantes. Up to now, we as leaders in Kebbi State, we couldn't understand why that withdrawal. At that material time, when an index was being gotten, that there is likely.
Speaking with a particular concern, Mr. Speaker, and the concern today, as I understand, is about the security of lives and property of the Nigerian people. Mr. Speaker, I have heard briefs and submissions by the relevant committee chairman here about the situation of Nigeria's security architecture. Good, Mr. Speaker. I am not out to say no to their submissions. Of course, that is what they have to report to this House. But when you are speaking, Mr. Speaker, from the point of view of Nigerian people, one must be prepared to call a spade a spade. Mr. Speaker, I am therefore prepared to say that no matter what the government does, my government, led by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the APC government, my party, and despite all the submissions of the efforts of all security agencies that were meant here through their respective chairmen, I want to say that yes, the government is doing its best. The security agencies are doing their best, but I want to say with every sense of responsibility and without any fear of equivocation that their best is not good enough. It is not good enough because the security situation in Nigeria today, Mr. Speaker, it is horrific. Mr. Speaker, our security situation is tragic. Mr. Speaker, the security situation, especially in the north where I come from, is devastating. Mr. Speaker, our situation in Nigeria today in the area of security is unspeakable. It's unspeakable because our people are left ravaged in serious tension, fear and desperation, all because we are lacking and reneging in our institutional and collective responsibility as a government.
Let us do the right thing. We're not blaming this government for what they are finding itself, but it is the government in power and they should do the right thing. What are the right things? We take only one example. The governor of Kebbi said that somebody ordered troops out and people were kidnapped. Till today, nobody in Nigeria knows what happened and no question has been asked. And we are sitting down here as a parliament and we turn and we talk. Yet, somebody is responsible. If I'm the commander-in-chief, I will call the army commander in that place and the head of the army and say, if you don't get me the head of this person who withdrew the troops to put all these children in jeopardy, then you make an example of him. That is how a country is run. A country is not run on pacification. A country is run on confronting issues.
Well, those in authority have spoken. We in the media did not speak. Those in government say things are wrong. If we start from the Kebbi State governor, who said his entire state can't understand what happened because they had prior information. In other words, the intelligence community had done its job and duly informed those in power. And the governor went ahead to regret that he had done whatever the security agencies requested him to do. Yet, 45 minutes before the kidnap, the troops deployed there were withdrawn. It's not the first time we're having to recount this kind of story, not the second time, not the third time. That was why we began with the military helicopters. Things happen we can't explain. This morning, I asked somebody who knows, who ought to know, who ought to educate us. Mike Ejiofor. Mike Ejiofor is a retired deputy director with the Department of Security Service. They are not effusive, so you don't mind my own temperament. I'm sure he's going to bring it down. Mike, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Mike, what are we dealing with?
We're dealing with a lot of security challenges. From your clip there, you can see that everybody is concerned, including the president. And we must be frank to ourselves. We're under siege. The situation calls for all amount of seriousness that the government needs to do. And you can see from the legislature, from the executive, everybody showing concern on the situation in the country. And we must tell ourselves the home truth by not playing religious, political, or ethnic divides on all these issues. And to show you the concern of Mr. President, he also declared what is now termed security emergency. And a lot of people have been calling me to explain the difference between security emergency and state of emergency. And I have this to say. First of all, state of emergency is where the country is in danger, and some constitutional provisions are suspended to allow for restoration of peace in the country. In fact, you know, we used to have all these vocabularies coming up in Nigeria. So I think what the president meant by this security emergency are emergency measures put in place to restore peace as against the state of emergency, where some arms of government, like what we had in Rivers, are suspended, you know, to allow for restoration of peace. I have also studied the security emergency measures put in place, like recruitment of more policemen, 20,000, more soldiers, directing the SSS to deploy the forest guards, and all the withdrawal of policemen attached to VIPs. I think one of the most important emergencies to me is withdrawal of policemen to dignitaries. My reasons are obvious before I come to other emergency measures. My reasons are obvious. As at 2019-2017, we were informed, based on statistics from Police Service Commission, that we have over 120,000 policemen deployed to different VIPs and individuals, whereas the total number of police is less than 400,000 as we speak. And the number must have been depleted over years because people are retiring, people are being dismissed, and all what have you. So I think that presidential directive is the most important emergency measure to be complied with, because from police sources we see that 11,000 have been withdrawn. 11,000 policemen is nothing compared with the number of people deployed. It's nothing as far as I'm concerned, except the presidential directive is being flouted. Because I traveled, I came back yesterday. You still see in functions, you still see policemen, you know, some dignitaries coming with up to 10, 20 policemen. How do you explain that, despite the directive? So I think that is the most significant step that the president should take. My reason is this: even if you get 120 or 100,000 people withdrawn, they're still not going to make any significant difference
in the number that we need,
because we need technological assistance to overcome this challenge. If you talk of recruitment of over 20,000 policemen, soldiers, have the funds been made available? Were they budgeted for? We are yet to start the implementation of a 2025 budget. We are running 2024, 2023, 2024 concurrently or simultaneously. We are yet to start 2025. So where are you going to get the money in case of emergency now? Emergency measures introduced by the president to train all these people. And by the time you train, it will take, even if it's an emergency or crash program, the training will take not less than 3 to 6 months before they are deployed. And there must be specialized training to tackle this challenge. It's not just, even if it's a crash program, we need collaboration, because we are fighting an enemy that you don't know, that the activities are not coordinated. Today they are kidnapping from one church. After tomorrow is in the school. You're on the road, you are not safe. So I think we need to look into all these areas in terms of the emergency introduced. I think some of these decisions must have been taken hastily because of the situation and the pressure on government. But I think it's important to now review some of this and see how achievable they will be. I'll give you an example. That's why I also commend the president. When President Trump talked about coming to Nigeria to flush out the terrorists, even though I don't agree entirely that his targets are Christians, but Christians suffer more. But we have Muslims being killed, atheists and all were being killed. The life of every Nigerian matters. The life of every Nigerian matters. So we shouldn't be talking about who is being killed, whether you're a Christian or a Muslim or an atheist. Every life of Nigeria matters. But I think the Christians suffer more because they attack churches, kill pastors. You can see a lot of these issues. That's why Christians are worried. And don't forget that our people also complain to the United States that Christians are suffering. And that's why I say I commend the National Security Advisor for leading his team to the United States, even though as we speak, the details of the details of their meeting or the outcome have not been fully explained to Nigerians. So I think what we should do at this time as part of the emergency measure is more collaboration with the United States to assist us, not to invade us, but to assist us in tackling this menace that is almost crippling the country.
Can we look at some of the symptoms of this menace that is frightening Nigerians? Why every Nigerian seems to be pushing the presidency and the government too hard? Look, we began this morning's conversation by showing a clip, a story in fact we did about 3 years ago, when there were mystery helicopters in Borno and Niger, and we raised the alarm from this studio. The system dismissed it, but Buhari eventually admitted it. Now, Nigerians are worried that not the first, not the second, not the third time, that the Nigerian troop who has put his life on the line to defend the country moves to determine the fate of the enemy, and a counter order comes. And we don't get to know where that counter order comes, even when we suffer victims and casualties. Now, if you heard the Yobe State governor, he said, I did what the security agencies asked me to do. And I had intelligence that something was going to happen to my schools. 45 minutes before the kidnap took place, some order came to withdraw the troops. Enyina Baribe said, what worries him that up to this moment, nobody has accounted for that order that brought this trauma. Mike, what is this?
Well,
why this gap?
For me, you know, the social media.
Yes.
I hardly
trust it for your
trust and believe someone. First of all, because of my job, where I worked, I need empirical evidence. Two, I'm a lawyer. So when I had that story of a mystery helicopter, I was one of the first people to dismiss it. I dismissed it, not just querying it, because we have airspace. A helicopter cannot just come into a country, and you know when in those days.
But Mike, you thought that to be true.
No. But you see, you see them dropping food items, dropping equipment. I mean, there are certain things we should believe.
But our president, Muhammad Buhari, said, and we played him back his security advisor this morning, that those helicopters were ferrying in and ferrying out material for illegal mining. And we raise the question, is nobody in charge of our airspace?
Then where's our Air Force? You can't just fly into Nigeria airspace.
I'm not the president. The president what?
You cannot just fly into Nigeria airspace without being intercepted. Except, of course, there is a collaboration or an approval given before such helicopter goes. Don't also forget that the mining issue, a lot of high-profile people are involved in it. So there's a possibility that there's connivance. They're coming to
count these orders.
These orders
yes,
and
these are the more worrisome ones.
I had expected that by now, federal government must have instituted a high-powered investigation to find out who gave that order minutes before the incident. Because the SSS has provided the necessary intelligence. You know there's difference between information and
yes.
This thing is going to happen. So let's take precautionary measures. It is now some cases, our action agencies like the police also don't have the capacity to deal with the situation. But that is not the case
in this instance.
In this very instance. Order was given according to them. Coming from the governor, I have no doubt.
Thank you very much.
In my mind that he is speaking, is the chief executive, the chief security officer of the state, the intelligence world. So the question is, who authorized the withdrawal and why? If we don't get that, we'll be on a wild goose chase. So that action will be taken and it will serve as a deterrent to others. The damage has been done. The people have not been rescued as we speak. And it's a cause for...
They have now. They have now been rescued. And that's another question we are going to deal with. I'm going to ask you questions on.
Okay, which other one? This other one.
There's a second kidnapping in Kwara.
The Catholic school.
The Catholic school in Niger. Those ones have not been
rescued.
I
see, that is why people have this impression, misconception that is targeted at Christians. These people have been rescued, but these people have not been rescued. And the number of people. So the question is, let us have some self-examination. You don't also forget that President Goodluck Jonathan, as then was, mentioned that he had Boko Haram members in his cabinet. His government. So we need to get, and you see, Nigerians or the security agencies are not magicians. They work on information. So we need the cooperation of everybody to give such information on the people who are involved so that they will be investigated. But very worrisome, just like
the governor said,
there's need to investigate that, and I expected that should have been done long ago.
Now, our insecurity challenge is not a Tinubu matter alone. It's a progression till now. And frankly speaking, it appears that something our presidents know, which either we don't know or they're not prepared to share with us. Because each of them ride on the back of this insecurity to come to power. I will deal with insecurity. Buhari rode on the back of it to power. Tinubu rode on the back of it to power. Now in power, they fail to do something about it. Is it because when they get in there, Mike, because you guys have it, let me tell you why I keep pointing at you. I was thoroughly baffled. The quantum of information that's available even the DSS. In other words, the Nigerian government has so much information at its disposal. I will play back to you what Obasanjo said last week, shortly. That this government is capable of picking any criminal anywhere in this country. It has the capacity.
Yeah.
If it has, why are we being traumatized by those same people whom the government can identify? Please tell me.
It's a very serious matter, not a laughable matter. But I can tell you that some of these issues are also political.
Good.
Now, if you recall that in 2015, some politicians made openly that if Goodluck wins election, they were going to destabilize the government and make the country ungovernable. And allegedly brought in some people. But unfortunately, or fortunately, Goodluck surrendered power. And they started managing these people until it became almost impossible for them to manage. And that is like the story of the Frankenstein monster. Don't also forget that these people start the intensity or intensification of their war towards election.
Now, Mike, I'm going to interrupt, please. I hope you don't mind. My producer says I may not have time to play bad Obasanjo clip, but I'm going to ask you a question. Why is it? Because it's not the first time I'm hearing those in office say these insurgencies, these violences, banditry are politically motivated. In other words, somebody wants to ride to serve us by killing a number of us. How does that agree with a normal society? You want to serve us? The way you discredit the government is not by pointing at failures of policy and the consequences of bad policy. You arrive at it by killing a number of us to say this government is weak. Is it a normal social reasoning?
Well, what is normal in other climes cannot be normal in Nigeria. Reason is this: the people are talking. We are talking in a sane society where patriotism is the front burner. But politicians, who is talking about patriotism? They are talking of themselves, how to ascend to power and plunder this country, blindly acquire wealth that they don't need, living to their fourth generation. So that is the cause. And they use these elements to say this government is bad. They do it to make the government unpopular, bring it to disrepute, and continue to pursue their personal and selfish agenda, not national agenda. And that's why I say that over 80% of our security challenges in Nigeria are politically generated. Check anywhere. Is it land dispute? Is it election? Is it religion? They play up all these elements to gain power, and to gain power for themselves, and not to see how the country will move forward.
Let us look at the country, Mike, within the time we have. I have kept toying with a thought. What should Tinubu be doing as a president in Nigeria's circumstance? And in the course of this conversation, you mentioned emergency in the security sector. We are spending money on so many democratic processes, And this matter of insurgency and banditry and insecurity requires all the money that this country needs to solve it. Doesn't it make sense, survival sense, mark my last 2 words, survival sense, for the president to declare a national state of emergency? One of the legislators said so. Declare a national emergency, collapse organs of democracy, govern by decree, use the military and the police according to your powers to deal with this matter. Because by the time we, in a civilized manner, address this matter as we are trying to do, we discover that our education would have gone back 50 years, 100 years. Our social order would have gone back a century. And do not forget that the children looking at these mothers, blood everywhere, with the social media, killing now becomes part of our social order. For how long are we going to manage to recover if we don't act in an extraordinary manner now? Should Tinubu not declare a national state of emergency?
Let me start this way. If the president declares national state of emergency, what would be his position?
He will rule by decree. Yes, he will.
We are in a democracy.
No.
Wait now.
After all, how 2 bombings or one explosion in River State, he declared a state of emergency and he recovered River State.
Now, who are the people he's going to bring if there's state of emergency to rule with him? He's going to import the people from
that is where
the
buck stops at his table.
No, Nigeria is too complex and advanced for that kind of approach.
The advance of dying people.
So we will overcome. We surely overcome the problem.
That is a man of faith.
We must overcome the challenges. The president has taken some steps. Let's see how these steps will work. For instance, nobody will be elected to power and wants to fail. We have over 6 trillion naira budgetary allocation for defense this year, which is almost 10% of our total budget. That shows that there is commitment on part of government. But what are the hurdles? What are the challenges that are making all these measures not effective? That's why I say we have to do some in-house searching, soul searching. Let us think of Nigeria. Nigeria first, Nigeria first, and Nigeria first. But as long as we continue to think of I, myself, and I, we will not come out of this problem.
How else can he deal with it? Because Obasanjo complained, Eradua complained, Jonathan complained, well, Buhari didn't complain much, now Tinubu is complaining. Feed columnists, how does he flush them out? Listen, one of your DGs once said on air that sometimes the body language of the president matters, that they know some of them, but that they can't arrest them because they're in power. How long are we going to stay with that?
As long as the body language of the president remains the same way without thinking of how to, the political will is very important.
Okay. Okay. Well, Mike and his constituency, they are not as excitable as we are. They don't get to be angry. They take things methodically. Let me thank Mike Ejiofor, former Deputy Director, DSS, for coming to the program this morning. Mike, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
My name is Wabos Njoku. The conference I told you, some of my colleagues, I do not know what went wrong with Abuja traffic this morning. I just don't know. So I'm orphaned, except that Mike came in to at least give me a shoulder to lean on. And let's thank him very much. And let this conversation never end. It continues tomorrow. Please have a great day and good morning.